Got bad eye. All right, Jeff Zimmerman here with super lightweight sensation Tito Mercado. Got a fight coming up April 5th in Houston against Deiner Berrio on DAZN. How you doing, Tito?
I'm doing good. Can't complain.
Yeah, man, it's great to catch up with you. We've had some, you know, past interviews, and man, for 22 years old, you're so steady and so like professional, man. Where does that come from?
I think I don't know, man. I think more has to do with the discipline that I have in the boxing gym. So I kind of always want to, I think boxing has taught me a lot discipline wise. Just to always do things the right way. And, be professional. And if you say something, so I guess I kind of got it from boxing. I learned a lot of discipline from boxing, for sure.
Yeah, and I know you grew up in the gym with your dad and your uncle, and we've told that story, which is amazing. But listen, you're building your own story right now. 2023, and maybe you've won Prospect of the Year with some other outlets, but for the Ring magazine, you were behind Shushu Carrington, which is amazing in itself. Just talk about that and just kind of what it tells you about where you are in your career.
I mean, to be able to, be mentioned, I know a lot of them had me as, prospect of the year or at least a candidate. Without having a major promoter and to be mentioned with all these guys and to be still thrown in the mix with, the top guys right now, I feel like that's an accomplishment as itself, without being a major promoter. I feel like we're doing our thing. I feel like, the fights that I've been fighting, I feel like the fight fans have been excited about it, obviously, enough for them to even throw me as a candidate. So I think last year has been a great year, and I'm hopefully this year I'm able to step it up and even do more.
You had 5 fights and 4 knockouts.
Yeah, all within the first and second round, I think. Yeah,
Yeah. Let's not forget that too, right?
right.
But I asked you last time, but you brought it up again. No major promoter. Um, any plans at this point to get with the Golden Boy, to get with the Matchroom Top Rank?
If it makes sense, right now I'm so content with the activity that we're having right now, the opponents I'm able to get in there with. Like I've been telling people, there's sometimes where you see these guys with top promoters, but they're not getting the fights or they're not being developed or advanced like, I'm sure they would want to in their career. So to be able to, kind of control and be able to develop myself the way that we know that needed to be and, get these top guys. A lot of prospects haven't fought the guys I've fought. So I feel like, I'm real content and if the opportunity presents itself and it makes sense, then most definitely. But for now, I'm content where I'm at right now.
Yeah, man. But let's talk about it a little bit because you're in Golden Boy's backyard. You're from Pomona. You got the Golden Boy himself, Oscar from East LA. I mean, you're 14 and 0, 13 knockouts. You're a knockout artist. I mean, you could be headlining these cards in LA under Golden Boy. Have they reached out to you? Have you guys had any conversations or?
Yeah, they always reach out to me. The most recently one though, they reached out to me in January for the Barbosa fight, and I said let's do it. I was supposed to fight him on the Berrio Ortiz undercard, I believe it was, and I told him let's do it, let's run with it. For whatever reason, they said that never mind. Barbosa team turned it down, so I think that would have been a great fight to headline, especially with the Berrio Ortiz undercard. I think that would have been great, but they turned it down, and then they're fighting a dude that I fought in Nicaragua. So I found that pretty funny. But yeah, I'm just trying to get in there with the big guys. Golden Boys definitely reached out to me. Maybe we could do something with them in the future.
Yeah, and listen, Golden Boy is not afraid to sign up other fighters in their weight classes, right? I mean, they have Ryan Garcia, obviously. They got
Yeah,
Barbosa. So
Jose
it's kind of
Ramirez.
nice
Yeah,
to Barbosa, I'm sorry, to keep guys in house, right?
right. Yeah, no, they do. I think they're kind of building a stable, kind of like maybe I think Top Rank. Top Rank has a lot of 35s and I believe 40. So I think they're trying to do that and trying to make the matches, within themselves as well. Because sometimes it's hard to make these fights. So I think maybe a good opportunity if it presents itself, like I said.
Yeah, and let me ask you, and not to dwell on it, because obviously you're doing something right. You're getting fights, and that's what's most important at this point in your career. Still only 22. But what about like going the Devin Haney route? He bet on himself. He started in Mexico, and 3 fight deal with Matchroom, 3 fight deal with Top Rank. Just kind of bouncing around like he's done with his dad.
Yeah, I feel like that's definitely a route that we could definitely take. I feel like in a sense, me and Devin Haney kind of are similar, taking the same kind of route. I think the only difference is that he fought in Mexico most of his fights, and dudes that are not really known compared to mine. I fought most of them in the States, in California, fought dudes that are very known. So I think in that aspect, I feel like I'm doing great. I feel as far as exposure wise, the fighters that I'm fighting, developing, I feel like we're doing it a little better. And if we have to go with that route, or we sign with a promoter, or keep doing it what we're doing right now, whatever it is, I know that's gonna be the best route for me.
Yeah, and I know you're a patient guy, so you're just waiting for the opportunity, it sounds like.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for it, man. And I know once it comes, a lot of guys once it comes, they either fold or they know they don't think they're ready. I'm just waiting for it because I know once it's time, I know I'm a really, like they said, burst out into the scene.
Yeah, and let's talk about, I know you consider yourself an old school fighter. I mean, you pretty much live in the gym, been living there since about what, 5 years old.
Yeah.
I interviewed Tim Zhu the other day, and if I don't know if you're much on social, but if you've seen any of his interviews, he's been talking a lot about being an old school fighter and obviously taking on Fundora, 6 foot
Yeah.
six, southpaw at the last minute. I don't know if even old school fighters would have done that, but he made this point that he feels like he was born in the wrong era because of that old school mentality. Do you kind of feel that way?
I do feel that way, but then at the same time, it's like it's hard because right now is where there's a lot of old school fighters, right? And we obviously respect them dearly, but a lot of them were underpaid. A lot of them, it was so much different. Now I feel like the fighters, if you make it to that certain level, you get compensated a lot better. So it's kind of what you rather switch it for, and unfortunately, a lot of these guys, the greats, they're broke right now, or struggling for money. So it's kind of a throw in the air. What would you rather have, I guess, in a way. So I know obviously I'm here for a reason, so hopefully I'm able to get the best fights and still be compensated well, for all the sacrifice that I'm putting into.
Yeah, it is called prize fighting, right?
Yeah.
And you bring up a good point, and I brought that up to Tim, when he said like a Spence, fighting 2 times a year, or some of these other guys. I said, but as you start to build your resume and get up there, sometimes the business of boxing sort of dictates that a little bit. And that's kind of what you're saying.
Yeah, a lot of these guys, like I said, sometimes there's fights that, I'm sure for Spence don't make sense for him to maybe lose a fight and miss out on a bigger payday. I don't know if I would ever take that route. I mean, as you can see, I've liked to fight 5, 6 times a year. So hopefully I'm able to, keep that steady. Obviously, fights are gonna get higher once you get to the higher level. Maybe you have to slow it down to 3 or 4, but I would definitely like to get in the ring more than twice a year or once every 3 years, like the Charlos for sure.
Yeah, that's definitely an extreme case. But let's talk about real quick your weight class because we talked about it last time, and it's just as stacked as it was when we talked last year. You got Devin and Ryan coming up, you got Tank lingering out there, Raleigh, Tio. You got all these guys. I know you're patient. I know you have a course set out, but how badly would you like to get in with one of those guys right now?
Oh man, I'm itching for it. I'm itching for it, and I think the one that I would want to get in there first with is probably Devin Haney because I think he's the only one that hasn't been defeated yet. I know Tio has a loss. I know Rolly has a loss, and I think yes, Abril Matias has a
Tank,
loss.
Tank.
Yeah, Tank has a loss too. So
Who
you
did
know, I,
Tank lose to?
oh no, not Tank. I
Yeah.
said Sabril Matias because I know he's a champion at
Oh
140.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so I know these guys. So I know Devin's one of the ones that perfect, and Gervonta. So either one of those guys to be able to take those guys out because they're the right now I feel like they're the most besides Canelo they're the draws right now in boxing. I feel so to be able to take one of those guys out, I feel like not only will it put me in a better position, but to take out the guys that are the guys, I think that would be dope.
Yeah, and obviously the big fight, if hopefully it still happens, Devin and Ryan. What do you make of what's been going on with Ryan and just is he trolling? I mean, is there something more serious, do you think, or what's your take?
Um, that's a hard thing. I'm hoping he's trolling, for the sake of himself, because obviously he's going to regardless, even though Haney's not a power puncher, it's still a fight. Anything could happen. So I'm hoping he's trolling and trying to. That's his way of selling the fight, even though it's a little unusual, right? But he's getting attention, so I'll give it to him. But I just hope he's taking it serious because I feel like Devin, what we know from Devin, he's a hard worker, so we know that he's taking this seriously. So, uh. I have Haney winning that fight, but you never know. Maybe Ryan's just putting on the act, and maybe he's really is training hard. We don't know really behind the scenes.
But as of now, you're picking Haney by decision, you think, or you think he'll stop?
I'm thinking late stoppage, maybe like a 10th, 11th, maybe like 10th round. I'm taking a stoppage on this one. We know that Ryan's well not known for quitting, but we know he's capable of quitting. So I definitely got Haney by stoppage.
You give Ryan just, he obviously has one punch power. Do you give him a puncher's chance at least if all is good?
For sure, but it just it's hard to give him so much of a chance too because he only has one shot. If he had maybe a right hand as well, a hook or a right hand, I'd be like, okay, I could give him a real serious chance. But he just has a left hook. Sometimes the one trick, like they said, the one trick ponies only last you for so long, right? Until you get to those higher levels. So I definitely do think that if he catches Haney, he may do something, but I don't know. Haney's real smart, so I really doubt it.
And I know Tank's got a fight. He kind of put it out there. I don't recall seeing the opponent. Have you seen anything on that?
No, I don't know what he's doing either. I know he want to fight Conor Ben. I don't know. I think he's trolling too.
Hmm.
Tank's the also type of fighter that fights every what maybe once twice a year if you're lucky. So I don't know what's happening with him right now.
It's definitely a different game, this trolling game. Um,
Yeah.
let me ask you one more question on it. Just kind of on these Twitter beefs that seem to be out there with Shakur and Devin. I didn't mention Shakur earlier, but in Devin, and then obviously Devin and Ryan, promoting a fight. But what do you make of Shakur as a fighter, and where do you rank him? Because he's had some tough fight. His last fight obviously, wasn't his best, but reported he was injured and so forth. And Olympian, so skilled. What are your thoughts on that situation?
I think Shakur is extremely talented. I think he's talented. I think he's probably one of the most talented ones, uh amongst them. But I just feel the part that he's not exciting. That's the only problem. He's having that problem like a lot of great fighters, right? Like Floyd, after he became Money Mayweather, a lot of people started, saying that he was boring, but he had a good mouth on him, so it's a little different, right? He had a different way of selling fights, trash talking, but no, Shakur is extremely talented, but I feel like yeah, it's just hard to get those. He's gonna be hard to get those big fights in, man, because he's not at least from inside the ring, he's not exciting. So it's gonna be hard to kind of get those fights. I feel like he may have to take a different approach, maybe talk a little bit more, do something to be able to get those big fights. Because I know he's a fighter that actually wants to fight and want to get these big names in there. So I think he has to maybe take a different approach.
Yeah, I mean, he like you said it. He's so skilled, right? He's elite talent.
Yeah.
Now it seems like the tides turned a little bit with Devin kind of having the upper hand again, kind of betting on himself a little bit. And but God, that would be a hell of a fight.
Yeah, and then some instances I feel like he should have maybe took that, regardless if he didn't like that percentage, him being so talented, I feel like he could have beat, Devin Haney. So sometimes you gotta take those sometimes you gotta take the small chunk of the percentage, right, to be able to start dictating what you want. I obviously I know Shakur thinks he's, highly of himself and obviously think the same, but in order to sometimes get those, you have to take out the guy first to be able to start demanding stuff.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. What about you? Because you're not. I don't see you on Twitter trash talking or getting into these beefs. I mean, you're in the gym so much, but do you feel like you need to kind of step up that trash talking or that outside the ring part of it? Because I asked Virgil Ortiz about that one time. I look at guys like you, and even Spence was like that for a long time. They just let their talent, speak for them, but they give you good quotes just like you. What are your thoughts around that for your own career?
I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm more of a person trash talker. I'm not too much to do Twitter beefs. If in that case I would have had more fights than Sugar Ray Robinson right now, and if I would have done all these Twitter views, all these other fighters. So I feel like it just I don't know. I feel like in a way it's good, but after a while fans start to hate you because you start to make all these promises, start trash talking, but you never make these fights happen. So it's kind of like, I feel like if you're gonna trash talk, mean it. If you're gonna say you're gonna fight this guy, you'll beat this guy up. I feel like you gotta actually fight those guys, or otherwise you're gonna start, making yourself look bad. So
Mhm.
definitely when I see these guys in person, these guys that, obviously talk a lot, then you'll see me, come out. But Nah,
Mm.
Twitter beef, not my thing.
Yeah, yeah, you're more face to face. But let's talk about your fight, man. Already your second fight of the year coming up April 5th, which will be more than probably 90% of the top fighters out there for the whole year. What do you know about this guy? Obviously a veteran Colombian, kid. I think he's about 27, experienced, but he's been out of the ring for a couple of years. What do you know about him? What does he bring to the table?
Um, Most recently, I was just watching his fight with against Ryu, and I saw that he hurt him a couple times. He's a very tricky fighter. He's definitely explosive. He tries to explode off a punch, try to time you. So I know, and like you mentioned, he's been inactive. So I know a fight like this means a lot to him right now. If he beats me, I feel like that'll give him a lot more opportunities. Obviously, a lot more paychecks for him. So I feel like I'm not taking this fight definitely not for granted because I feel like he sees a big opportunity if he beats me. So I'm definitely working hard right now in the gym and yeah, man, he's just a guy that's gonna try to explode and try to time me off a punch. He's gonna try to put me to sleep. So I'm excited for those type of fights because those fights always get the best out of me when some guy's gonna come over there and really try to push you to your limits.
Do you consider Tito this fight kind of an upgrade in talent? I know you fought like Hank Lundy and Jason Velez and some more well-known names, but does this feel like a kind of a step up for you?
Yeah, I feel like in a sense, obviously I fought, Nakatila guys that's been there before. Um, I feel like it's just gonna add more to the table just because there's gonna be my first headline show in the zone. So I feel like I don't feel no pressure, but being on a card like that, being televised with all these people watching, I feel like that kind of puts it to that level again. So I'm definitely excited, and like you said, a lot of fighters when they get to the lights, they kind of fold. So I can't wait to show people how I rise up.
Yeah, and we'll wrap it up here in a minute. Here with super lightweight rising star, like I said earlier, Ring Magazine runner-up prospect of the year behind Shushu Carrington, which is a great name to be tied to, from a publication like The Ring. But we got a big, I know you're Mexican, Nicaraguan. Just had the press conference this past week. We were talking about Golden Boy earlier, but Jaime Munguia versus Canelo, May 4th in Vegas. Give me your thoughts on the fight overall, prediction. Excited?
Yeah, I think that's a good fight. Obviously, I know people wanted the Canelo versus Benavides. But I think that fight's gonna still bring fireworks. Munguia's still a young guy. He's been proving himself with his last couple of fights, and I think it's gonna be a firework fight. I do think Canelo catches him. Because I feel like Munguia is not the best defensively. I feel
Mm.
like he's a good offensive fighter, not the best defensively. So I feel like Canelo may catch him, in the later rounds, whether it's 7 or 8, and I think he gets the stoppage or a knockout on him.
Wow. What about Munguia's power? Obviously, he's now with Freddie Roach. People have noticed some significant differences. He still hadn't been with them that long, but can Munguia possibly stop Canelo? I mean, obviously that's not what you're thinking.
I feel like he has. I feel like he has good enough power to maybe make Canelo respect him, but I don't think so, man. I mean, from what we've seen Canelo has a chin, man. He went up in weight to 75. Dimitri Bivol, even though he tagged him up, I don't feel like he ever had him hurt. In a sense, we saw Canelo gassed. He fought Triple G. I never saw him hurt. I think I only seen him hurt one time in his career when he was at 147. Against Miguel Cotto's brother. So I know for sure that Canelo has a chin. I don't think he goes out like that.
All right. And is he ducking Benavides?
Um. I mean, when he says he wants 150 to 200 million, I mean, it does kind of sound like that. I don't know, man. Maybe I don't know. It's hard to say. Maybe he just, he's obviously towards the end of his career already, so maybe he just really wants to. If he's gonna take a big risk like that, he wants to cash out on it. So I mean, you can't really blame him in a way, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know. That's like 50-50 on that one.
Yeah. It sounds personal though, a little bit between those two camps.
Yeah, it's a lot of trash talking. So maybe that's why he's not gonna give it to him either, because he just, I think he said he gave the fight to Munguia because he was respectable or whatever it was or something like that. So maybe he should try taking a different approach and stop, talking so much trash to the man.
Yeah. You mentioned B-ball real quick too, and we'll get you out of here. Better Biev and B-ball, which is probably the biggest fight in boxing that nobody's talking about, right? For the hardcore,
Yeah.
boxing people like yourself. But how do you see that fight playing out? Because that I can't wait for that one.
I feel like I, it's hard because Bivol has such good movements. He has good in and out distance. But damn, you have to be perfect all 12 rounds with Bellatrix. It seems because he just has a crazy power and he breaks people down. So that's a hard one, man. That's 50-50. But if I had to put my money on somebody, oh, that's hard. I think I would probably go with I'll probably go with Bellatrix, to be honest. I feel like Bellatrix may edge out that fight out.
And then let's just play this fantasy matchup one more time.
Yeah.
Benavides obviously going up to 175 um, against an interim opponent. He would, possibly face the winner. How do you see Benavides against either one of those guys?
I feel like he wouldn't beat Bellatrix. I feel like Benavides' defense, well, obviously they're both gonna be coming forward. I feel like Benavides' defense and now is gonna play a big role. And like I said, Bellatrix is hard, so I feel like that fight, I definitely see him losing that fight. But Vol, I don't know. That's a hard fight too, because Vol has good in and out game. But I feel like Benavides might be strong enough to kind of weather the storm, maybe lose a third, fourth, maybe 3, 4 rounds, and then after that start to gas Bivol out and like he always does, overwhelm these guys with a bunch of punches and flurries. But I don't think he beats Bellatrix though. But I do think he has a chance against Bivol.
Kind of like what he did against Caleb Plant, kind of, you know,
Yeah.
take the shots early and then interesting. Yeah. Let's see what happens. Hopefully we'll get some of those. I know you're not a fan of YouTube boxing, Jake Paul, Mike Tyson. What do you think?
Well, I don't know what to think right now because I'm not sure if it's a real fight or an exhibition. I know they're saying headgears. Jake Paul saying it's not a headgear, but I think obviously I'm gonna be going for Mike. Mike's still regardless a real fighter, but I just think he's too old to be in the ring. If they are doing 8 ounce gloves and the way it is, I mean, regardless, Mike's still I don't know if he's in his 50s or 60s, but he's still a 50-year-old, 60-year-old
Late
man. So
50s, late
yeah,
50s.
so that's still a big risk, regardless of Jake Paul not being, technically a threat. I mean, at least not in my eyes. One of those shots could still, by a 20-something-year-old guy, that still could change. That could, possibly end Mike's life, regardless, because a punch is a punch. It can't end anybody's life, right? So I
Yeah.
don't know, but I feel like it's gonna get a lot of people are saying they're not gonna watch it. I feel like it's still gonna get a lot of eyes and it's gonna be a lot of exposure for a lot of people.
It's going to be on Netflix. So as long as you have, a subscription, which a lot of people do. So
Yeah.
um, let's end it here. What should we expect? April 5th, your second fight back in after a great 2023. What should we expect on April 5th in Houston on DAZN, headlining on DAZN, which is huge?
Like always, for me to perform like I've been doing, whether it's like I said, whether it's in a small venue or a big venue, you're never gonna see me fold or rise down to occasion. I'm gonna go there, I'm gonna perform and always exceed everybody's expectations that they have of me. And this fight, I know this guy has never been stopped or knocked out before, and I'm hoping to what we're training for. That's what we're prepared to do. We're prepared to stop this guy or knock him out. So I think that'll make a big statement as it is, and to show everybody that I'm here in front of the whole world this time.
All right, man. Rising star, super lightweight, Tito Mercado. Man, I wish you nothing but success. It's great talking to you. I know you're going to get that shot sooner than later, and we'll talk to you after the fight. And good luck April 5th in Houston.
I appreciate it, Jeff. Thank you.
All right, man. Take care.
Take care.